Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Just give me a second. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adora Kuye. I'm the Programs Executive with the Tony Elumelu Foundation as well as the V418. With me on the call is Foko Rollin, our French translator, and we're honored to have Maureen Amakabane on the call today. She'll be facilitating and taking a session on identify and adopt to green for your business. I'm sure we are all excited to be at this masterclass session because we are going to be taking a lot of insights which would apply to our businesses. So as usual, I urge everyone to ensure you are with a pen and a notepad, as you don't want to miss out on any lesson, any principle that will be applied to your business. Foko, please translate. Maureen can take on from there. Thank you so much.
Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue une fois de plus à cette session de Masterclass. Donc aujourd'hui, nous aurons pour thème identifier et adopter le vert pour votre entreprise. Maureen Amakaban sera notre facilitatrice. Il faut dire qu'elle est une ancienne de la Fondation Tony Elumelu et le Rap Lead au Kenya. Elle est une influenceuse sur le plan social, une leader de communauté et surtout une storyteller. En plus d'être une championne de la laverie et de tout ce qui est écologie. Donc, nous allons tous ensemble écouter Maureen pour cette session qui sera palpitante. Bonjour une fois de plus à tout le monde. Maureen, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Foko, and welcome to this call. So my name is Maureen Amakabane, like you have said, and I'll be taking you through this session today. So just a big background of myself and basically the work that I do within the African continent. I am a first-time entrepreneur. And before I went into entrepreneurship, I had extensive background in the green sector in Kenya and in East Africa. And at the time, we focused a lot on democratizing access to sanitation, and we were promoting, and I still continue to promote green solutions in the ecosystem. So as you go through this call, I would want you to look at it from a very macro perspective in terms of your business, and then of course look at it from a country perspective, a region perspective, and then a global perspective. So I'll be building the context, and I'll also be building the concepts from that level outwards, inwards, going outwards.
Donc, comme je l'ai dit, Maureen va nous entretenir sur l'identification ou adopter le vert au sein de notre entreprise. Donc, elle intervient dans tout ce qui est écologie en Afrique de l'Est. Over to you.
Okay, great. I think one thing I forgot to mention is that I am a beneficiary of the Tony Elumelu Foundation Fund. I benefited from the fund in 2017, and this was through my sanitation business. And then through the one of the pillars, which is networking and linkages, I was also a beneficiary of the V4A program. So I bring also a lot of knowledge in terms of how the program runs, and also as a person who joined the Tony Elumelu network as a very green entrepreneur, and I've been able to grow and strengthen my expertise and strengthen my knowledge, and actually gone ahead to set up what I believe will be very successful enterprises in Africa.
Okay, you can move on.
Okay. Awesome. So we're going to look at the definition. What is green? What does it mean when somebody is saying we're going green? So this refers to the process of fostering economic growth and development, ensuring that natural assets continue to provide resources and environmental services on which our well-being relies. This involves the adaptation of sustainable practices that minimize environmental impacts, improve resources efficiency, reduce carbon footprints, and promote social equity. And this is the definition by UNEP in 2011. Of course, there's extensive definitions, but I particularly like this one because then it kind of encompasses and it shows that it's very practical things that we can do for us to achieve or go green.
Donc, commençons par la définition du vert. Donc, être dans le vert, c'est en fait mettre en place des process qui permettent d'améliorer la croissance économique à travers le développement des ressources naturelles qui permettent de sauvegarder l'environnement à travers la réutilisation de ces ressources. Donc, cela implique l'adoption des pratiques durables qui permettent de minimiser l'impact de l'empreinte carbone au sein de l'environnement. Next.
Awesome. What are the session objectives for today? So basically today is for us to integrate or interact, and I'll walk you through very practical and basic steps on how you can identify and adapt green technologies or practices in your enterprise, and then what to do and what not to do as you're driving your enterprise into going green. And then definitely looking at affirming that it is very possible for you to start. And then we'll give you some tips on what's next. How do you just take a very pragmatic approach for you to integrate green in your business?
Donc, les objectifs de cette session sont simples. C'est de comprendre les étapes pratiques pour pouvoir identifier et adopter le vert, les technologies vertes et les pratiques vertes au sein de votre entreprise. C'est de savoir ce qu'il faut éviter lorsqu'on veut atteindre les objectifs écologiques. Et enfin, c'est de pouvoir adopter et savoir quels sont les biens qui permettent bien évidemment d'honorer à ces objectifs. Et puis, on verra les points suivants. What do you?
Awesome. Okay. So what's the first step? I hope you do have your paper and a pen. So the first step for you as an enterprise is to, or an enterprise owner, or you work within an enterprise, is to conduct an audit. So you're going to check what is it that you're already doing, because I strongly suspect that most of us already are doing are doing green practices. Maybe you're not aware. So just conduct. The first thing is to evaluate the current practices. Begin by assessing your current business operations and look at the areas on which you can reduce environmental impact. So for example, this can be how you're using energy. Are you looking at cost-efficient options? Are you switching off your light when you don't need? Are you maximizing, for example, on using natural light? How are you consuming your water? And how are you sourcing your raw materials? And for example, I like to also give an example. How are you managing your waste? So assuming you're in the catering business and you buy tomatoes, and by the time you transport your tomatoes from the market to the production point, some tomatoes are going to be crushed. How are you going to manage it? Are you going to just dump them in the dustbin, or are you going to take these tomatoes and convert them into a paste and continue to use them or add value? The second thing is for you to identify the efficiencies. Look at the areas in which in your complete value chain, and you all know your business. So what is it in your business that you can do in relation to minimizing environmental impact, or just minimizing the use of energy, water, and waste within your business? So you're going to look at your efficiency systems. So is there points of wastage, or are there things that you can improve? And then after you do that, just take notes and take sustainability goals. So note down. So for example, going with the example of the caterer. So maybe you realize every time you come from the market, you have 5 damaged tomatoes. So the goal here is for you to start even by recording. So you say, for example, my goal is to ensure that these 5 damaged tomatoes don't go to waste, or we are going to add value to that. So that becomes your first step. So just think about it in your business. What are the things that you can identify, face value, and then implement and set the goals? So for example, in the catering example, the goal for this caterer can be for me to add value to each of the tomatoes, or the 5 tomatoes that I come and they're already damaged when I get to my production facility.
Oui, donc, quelles sont les étapes pour pouvoir avoir adopté le vert, nous allons commencer par conduire un audit de tout ce qui est vert au sein de votre entreprise.
Okay. The second step is, the next step basically is research on available green technologies within your industry. I've given an example of a caterer. It can be, for example, you're in production, just go on the internet or look at what are the available technologies. So research on the green technologies that are relevant to your industry. So for example, in manufacturing, you can be looking at efficiency in energy. If you're in food processing, you might look at exploring solar options for production. And I've also given that very basic example is for you to look at how do you manage waste in that value chain. And then look at what are the local innovations that are available. So explore local innovations and technologies that are designed for the market. I think here I said, for example, the Kenyan market. In Kenya, we have solar power irrigation options. We have solar power options for your energy. We have technologies that are already preserving water or even doing water harvesting. And then, of course, align with government. What are the resources that government has provided or NGO resources have provided? So basically utilize that. So for example, in the Kenyan sector, there's specific either interventions or knowledge or resources that are available based on your industry. So your goal here is to understand what is government doing and what are the NGOs in that space doing. Foko?
Okay, yes, can I go on?
Yes, please.
Ok, donc j'étais en train de dire la deuxième chose dans, please, the slide before, please, for me to continue. Ok, thank you. Donc, la deuxième chose, c'est l'identification des zones d'inefficience, donc des zones où il n'y a pas efficacité en termes de protection de l'environnement. Et pour cela, on doit toujours regarder quelles sont les opérations qu'on fait et comment les améliorer en utilisant les technologies vertes. Donc, la troisième chose, c'est la durabilité. Donc, ici, il est question, à travers cet audit, de pouvoir définir clairement quels sont les objectifs durables et comment est-ce qu'on peut faire pour réduire l'énergie, la consommation d'eau et aussi le traitement des déchets, autant que la production des déchets et le traitement des déchets. Thank you. Go on.
Have you gone to the next slide? Or?
Yes. Have you finished for this slide? I can then hand on.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
OK. Donc, la deuxième étape, c'est la recherche des technologies disponibles. Et cette recherche des technologies disponibles permet de distinguer d'abord l'activité, le secteur d'activité et les solutions. Donc ici, les recherches des technologies vertes doivent être pertinentes afin de pouvoir tenir compte de tout ce qui est fabrication des outils et surtout de tout ce qui est bonne utilisation énergétique. Donc, c'est-à-dire, il est question ici de prendre des machines qui ne consomment pas beaucoup d'énergie et qui permettent de pouvoir sauver l'environnement. Ça peut aussi être au niveau de la consommation d'eau pour qu'il n'y ait pas trop de gaspillage dans l'utilisation d'eau. La deuxième chose, c'est les innovations locales. Ici, il est question d'explorer localement quelles sont les technologies qui peuvent être utilisées afin de pouvoir maîtriser le marché et pouvoir utiliser, par exemple, l'irrigation comme système ou unité pour faire l'économie dans la gestion. La troisième chose, c'est au niveau des ONG et des gouvernements, quelles sont les ressources, quels sont les supports ou les soutiens qu'on peut avoir dans le secteur. Elle parle par exemple du gouvernement kenyan, des ONG, des associations qu'il y a autour de la promotion de tout ce qui est vert et technologie liée à l'environnement. Et bien évidemment, il faut aussi voir s'il y a des guides ou des études disponibles pour pouvoir vous aider dans votre activité. Thank you.
Awesome. And if you have any questions that are coming up, please ensure you put the questions in the chat box, and then we'll go through the presentation and then we'll address the questions. So if any questions are coming, if they're industry specific or country specific, just put them on the chat box, and we'll try as much as possible towards the end to respond to the questions.
Donc, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à les mettre dans le chat box pendant qu'on travaille. Merci. Thank you.
Okay, so now you have kind of done a research internally. You know either you're already doing some green practices, you have set your objectives. So now you want to look at the cost-benefit analysis. What will it cost you in terms of resources, in terms of time for you to implement this technology, or for you to implement this solution, or for you to get to your green goals? So you perform a cost-benefit analysis. This should include what are the costs, what are you going to save, or what are the materials that you'll need, short-term and long-term. And then after that, look at the return on investment. So kind of try to evaluate and look at what is the advantage of using X versus Y. And again, for example, you may find that assuming you're in manufacturing and you're doing food processing, you used to package your products in plastic containers, but now because you want to achieve this goal, you want to start looking at packaging glass containers. So you want to look at what are the cost implications, immediate and in the long term. And then, of course, now looking at strategies around, can you, for example, ask your customers to preserve this glass bottle for them to use? So those are some of the things that you want to evaluate. Okay.
Donc, ensuite, il faut évaluer quels sont les coûts et les bénéfices de ce que vous allez pouvoir faire. Donc, ici, les analyses doivent être au niveau de la performance, de la relation coût et bénéfice, afin de pouvoir identifier les technologies qui vont vous permettre de pouvoir travailler. Et cela doit être fait au niveau de tous les coûts en intrants. Ça peut être au niveau de l'énergie, du matériel, de la matière première et tout ça. La deuxième chose aussi à regarder, c'est le retour sur investissement. Donc ici, il est question d'évaluer effectivement quels sont les bénéfices pour votre entreprise en termes de retour sur investissement, de voir si la technologie que vous allez adopter permet effectivement de pouvoir améliorer vos revenus et surtout de voir si les bénéfices indirects peuvent aussi être améliorés afin de redorer la réputation ou bien votre marque. Thank you.
Awesome. And on the return on investment, one of the things you also want to measure is your brand reputation, because it's beyond just the revenue element that you're looking at. So now you start looking at other value adds that your brand is going to get. So for example, the value of your brand may go up, or the reputation in the industry will go up. So that's also something you want to measure and know that it is something that you can measure as a return on investment.
Yes, already, you can move forward.
Okay, so then you've done that. You've done your internal analysis. You've seen there's an opportunity, or you've already seen and documented that there are some of the things you're already doing in terms of going green. So now you want to start looking at what are the financing options for the goals you have set within the organization. So you want to just maybe go on the internet or look at your industry dynamics, which is country-based, and look at are there available green loans and grants within your industry. Like, for example, in the Kenyan context, in Kenya, we're already aligned to, we have very strong policies, and I know there's, it's a current conversation where we are being encouraged to go green. So, for example, at the national level, we now have already implemented a policy where the government has put systems and policies and already implementing for us to use green waste paper bags in residential areas. So now, if you're in that kind of an industry, for example, if you're in Kenya, that already presents a business opportunity. So then you may want to start looking at what are the financing options. So if you are a manufacturer and used to do plastic paper bags for garbage collection. I know the government has said we are transitioning into green waste garbage collection papers. You want to check around and see, is there support in the space I'm in? Because even as a business, you want to start transitioning. So like in Kenya, we do have banks like KCB and Cooperative who already have green loans. So do a research and check within your country, what are the financing options? And then are there opportunities to do public-private partnerships? So consider partnering with government or international organizations that offer financial support or incentives for business adapting green technologies. And then after that, you can start now the traditional crowdfunding. So for example, you may see there are people who are enthusiasts of green, and they may be able to support your business in terms of transitioning. And those are some of the things you want to start exploring.
Oui, la quatrième étape va être l'exploration des options de financement. Ici, vous avez 3 options. Ça peut être des prêts verts et des subventions. Ça peut être le partenariat public-privé ou bien le financement participatif. Pour ce qui est des prêts verts, il est question ici de regarder s'il y a des organismes qui vous donnent des subventions ou des prêts liés vraiment à l'activité environnementale. Et au Kenya, on a d'exemples de certaines coopératives ou bien des prêts qui sont adaptés aux PME. Pour ce qui est du partenariat public-privé, ici, il faut considérer l'impact de gouvernements ou des organisations internationales qui généralement ont des mesures incitatives pour pouvoir développer ou adopter des technologies vertes. Et pour ce qui est du financement participatif, donc de façon traditionnelle, vous pouvez faire aussi recours à ce type de financement sur les plateformes en leur indiquant que votre projet est un projet qui agit sur l'environnement et qui est dans la durabilité. Over to you, Nadia.
Thank you, Foco. Boa tarde a todos. Começo por me desculpar por ter chegado atrasado à sessão, tive uns problemas técnicos. Então, nesta sessão está-se a falar de identificar e adotar o verde para a sua empresa. Nós estamos, nesse momento, a senhora Maureen estava a falar do passo número 4, que é explorar as opções financeiras. Então, há três formas, basicamente, que podem fazer, através de busca de doações ou subvenção, onde você pode olhar para as opções que estão disponíveis no seu país e também internacionalmente, que possam apoiar os negócios verdes. Pode ser através de parcerias público-privadas, onde você considera fazer uma parceria com uma organização internacional, uma organização do governo, que seja apoiante das iniciativas verdes, ou através do crowdfunding, que é o mesmo que a adoção de créditos através ou de fundo, através de muita gente, colaboração de muitos. Então, são essas opções disponíveis para a adoção financeira. Madam Maureen, over to you.
All right, thank you, and welcome, Nadia. Okay, so the next step is to now start implementing as a pilot project. So because majority of us on this call are running small or medium-sized enterprises, and we are cognizant to the fact that resources are very stretched. So we encourage, or I usually encourage people to, before committing to start by implementing green, start small. So for example, you've set your goal. And I'll use the example of the caterer. So now you have said you want to ensure that your goal is to ensure that the 5 tomatoes that are damaged every time when you come from the market are now being either converted into paste, or you're adding value to them so that they don't go to waste. And that is going to help in managing your waste, your production waste. So you want to start small. Look at the available solutions and available resources that you have within your organization. And then once you start the small scale implementation, you monitor and evaluate. Remember, we said you're setting a goal. And then once you set a goal, document it, and then always go back to evaluate. And it will be great for you to even do maybe every week or every 2 weeks, you're just checking. Where am I with my goals and how is that going? So that you're already documenting, and this will start helping you in implementing as you go into scale. And then once you are, you've started implementing, and if you have a team or if you have staff, both permanent or casual staff. You want to train them. First of all, you want to sell the vision. You need to tell them the why you're doing it, and then now start training them. So get the buy-in from the people you work with within your ecosystem, mostly the staff that you work with, and then create a green culture. So encourage the culture or the people you work with in the organization for them to involve your employees, and they start also supporting you in achieving the goal. So this will look like you sharing the goals, the why, and the how you're doing it as an organization. And then also you can collectively be re-evaluating the resources and the goals you've set.
Donc, en cinquième étape, nous avons la phase pilote. Donc, on vous conseille de commencer par une phase pilote. Et dans cette phase-là, vous devez, par exemple, commencer par installer les panneaux solaires. Ça, c'est un exemple. Donc, vous devez commencer petit, très petit par des tests. Par exemple, en installant des panneaux solaires dans un seul de vos bâtiments, voire même basculer à l'énergie solaire en termes d'électrification uniquement pour les lumières. Donc, ça, c'est un premier test que vous pouvez faire afin de pouvoir sonder la technologie que vous allez utiliser. La deuxième chose, c'est de faire le suivi-évaluation. Ce suivi-évaluation vous permet, dans la phase pilote, de pouvoir mesurer quels sont les impacts, quels sont les coûts, quels sont bref, quel est le comportement que le test que vous avez fait dans la phase pilote a, afin que vous puissiez analyser et voir les adaptations qui peuvent être faites. Next, please. L'autre chose, donc, c'est de tenir compte des employés, la formation des employés. Vous devez aussi former les employés afin qu'eux puissent s'adapter à la technologie qui a été mise en place et que cette technologie respecte vraiment les contraintes de durabilité pour un environnement durable. Et pour finir dans cela, la formation de l'équipe. Donc, ici, il faut aussi dire qu'il est important de créer une culture d'entreprise sur le vert afin d'encourager vos collaborateurs à rapidement reconnaître et se mettre en phase avec cette nouvelle politique que vous avez mise en place qui va contribuer à la diminution de l'impact de votre entreprise sur l'environnement. Over to you, Nadia.
Thanks, Foucault. Ok? Então, o passo número 5 fala de estabelecer ou criar projetos pilotos. Quer dizer, você não precisa começar grande, você tem que começar pequeno, porque és uma empresa pequena. E os pequenos passos podem te levar aos objetivos maiores. Pequenos passos podem ser, por exemplo, você instalar painel solar apenas no seu escritório. Ou pode ser você mudar as luzes do seu escritório para luzes mais econômicas. Portanto, coisas pequenas que depois, quando se associa, torna-se numa escala maior. O que é importante é também fazer uma monitorização e avaliar. Portanto, você tem que saber quais são os impactos que essas tuas mudanças operam ou que causam no seu negócio e no geral, no ambiente. Através dos custos, através das metas sustentáveis, enfim. Esses dados que você guarda, esses dados que você avalia, vai te permitir, eventualmente, tomar decisões mais informadas. Next, please. Então, o sexto ponto fala de treinar a sua equipe, treinar e educar a sua equipe. Ok, você tem que sensibilizar os seus funcionários, os seus colaboradores, de forma que eles entendam que a tecnologia pode ser verde, que entenda que você, na sua empresa, quer adotar tecnologias verdes. Então, isso, obviamente, que passa também por criar essa cultura, a cultura do verde na sua empresa, através de encorajamento dos vossos colaboradores. Você pode criar incentivos que encorajem os colaboradores, como pequenos prêmios, reconhecimento, enfim, dar a entender que você reconhece o esforço que tem feito para reduzir o impacto ambiental. Portanto, educa a tua equipa e incentiva nessa prática. Maureen, over to you. Thank you.
And then now you have piloted, you've set your goals, you've piloted, you've trained your staff, you've seen it is viable. Then once you've done all that, you implement. So now it's the place where you take this solution and now make it your day-to-day, integrated in your day-to-day operations or everything that you do. So for example, again, using the example of the caterer, he or she started by setting up a goal of saying that my contribution or my implementation of going green is to minimize my waste in my production value chain. And it started by her setting the goal of saying every fresh produce that goes to waste or cannot be used for cooking, I will add value addition. And then they tested it. They've seen it is viable. Now you want to scale such that now he or she can decide, this has worked with tomatoes. I'm going to look in the entire value chain. What are the other products that get damaged? How do I manage my entire waste value chain? And then now you scale. So in the case of the caterer, they can now decide that becomes part of their process so that they can minimize the waste. So nothing goes to waste. Either they'll be doing value addition or really converting it into something else that can go into another. It can be a raw material for something else. And then, of course, you integrate. So you scale and then you integrate the solution for it to become part of your day-to-day, operations within the business. And then once you do that, repeat the cycle, monitor. So continuous monitoring is a great option so that you're monitoring and recording. And then of course, now you're ensuring that you're creating efficiency in the new or the thing that you used to do, but now you're just creating efficiency. And this definitely will include either reminding, and it also becomes part of the things you're measuring. So other than, for example, checking how much sales did I make this week? Part of the things that you're going to be looking at is how did I score on my green technology goal that we set? So it becomes part and parcel of your business. And then after that, based on once you see you've tested it and you have the resources and maybe you have access to some of the partnerships that you talked about, you can now start exploring, looking or pursuing certification, for example, ISO certification or trade certification or institutions that formally recognize. So for example, I do know, for example, we4A will be running trainings. So it would be great for people in the countries that are going to benefit to participate in the trainings and potentially now start getting certificates or looking at other opportunities that are available within your specific industry. And then of course, start marketing your credentials. So for example, you can start tagging, putting little stickers, or even just going on social media to say that well, my organization is now, we've gone green, and these are the efforts and these are the things that you're doing to align with the green agenda for us to reduce the carbon footprint in the globe. And for example, even the goals every week, for example, if you're measuring every week or every month, once you get your results, nothing stops you from just celebrating yourself and publishing this on social media and using this also, the credentials and the things you're doing, market organization or brand, include it as a branding goal within your organization. And then finally, what you're doing is you're staying informed. Keep yourself informed. Look at the trends, national trends, regional trends, global trends. Keep yourself updated with the latest technologies by attending trade fairs, by reading articles, by subscribing to people who align with your goal on social media, and also in your daily or your regional newspapers and other forms of information, people who distribute information. And then set a goal again to continuously improve the thing that you set as a goal. Your idea is for you to become excellent at it. So you're always reviewing, you're constantly checking, and you're continuously improving and reviewing the process. Coco, over to you. I'll go back a few slides.
Thank you. It is 7, I think.
Oh, okay. This one, yeah, 7, yes.
Donc, la prochaine étape, c'est l'étape 7. Dans l'étape 7, il est question d'implémenter la technologie proprement dite. Donc ici, on déroule toute la technologie puisqu'on a déjà fait la phase pilote et que c'était un succès. On déroule toute la technologie au sein de notre opération et surtout, on l'intègre dans le fonctionnement quotidien de l'entreprise afin de pouvoir l'aligner sur les stratégies d'entreprise et les objectifs de développement durable de l'entreprise. Donc, pour cela, il faut impliquer les process, les systèmes, toutes les infrastructures qui sont liées à la nouvelle technologie. Next, please. Dans l'étape 8, qui est l'étape de suivi et de l'optimisation, ici, il est question de continuer à faire le suivi des performances dans l'installation de la nouvelle technologie verte et de s'assurer que le délivrable est à la mesure des attentes qu'on avait et surtout que les bénéfices qu'on espérait sont des bénéfices réels. Et pour cela, on peut utiliser des indicateurs clés de performance pour pouvoir savoir si effectivement il y a sauvegarde, il y a réduction de l'utilisation de l'énergie, il y a réduction des déchets, de l'émission des déchets et surtout, pour finir sur ce point, l'optimisation des opérations. Ici, la question de regarder quelles sont les futures opportunités qu'on peut avoir en termes d'amélioration du fonctionnement de l'entreprise. Et en cas de besoin, faire les mises à jour dans la solution et puis surtout tenir compte des additifs qui sont liés à l'environnement. Next, please. Donc, il est aussi question ici de tirer parti des différentes certifications et des marques. Donc ici, vous devez chercher à obtenir des certifications liées à l'environnement et à l'écologie comme l'ISO 14001. Donc 14001, qui est une certification liée à la gestion de l'environnement. Bien d'autres certifications peuvent être valables. Et pour finir, il faut voir si les améliorations technologiques permettent que vous ayez des points au niveau du marché. Donc, est-ce que l'amélioration de la technologie pour une technologie verte a permis à vos clients d'être plus conscients de l'impact que vous faites au sein de l'environnement parce que vous devez vérifier que tout ce que vous faites améliore votre réputation, faire de la publicité auprès de vos clients et surtout redore votre marque. Next. Et pour finir, il faut donc procéder, toujours faire les mises à jour et tenir compte des innovations. Donc, pour cela, il faut être informé au sein de votre environnement s'il y a de nouveaux développements qui permettent d'améliorer les technologies vertes que vous avez mis en place au sein de votre entreprise et ainsi vous restez leader dans ces innovations-là. Et il y a aussi l'amélioration continue. Donc, vous devez tout le temps chercher à améliorer la technologie, améliorer le fonctionnement de votre entreprise afin que des innovations qui peuvent apparaître soient des choses que vous adoptiez très tôt pour avoir de meilleures performances. Thank you.
Right, Nadia.
Thank you. Ok, então, o passo número 7 fala da implementação da tecnologia. Um passo atrás, nós estávamos a falar em começar com um piloto. Aqui já se fala de passar do piloto para uma escala maior. Ok, baseado naqueles registros que você fez, que você foi monitorando e avaliando, você pode agora tomar decisões informadas e lançar para uma escala maior. Okay? Então, você procura integrar no seu processo a tecnologia no dia a dia, de forma que a sua operação realmente reflita esse aspecto de sustentabilidade, ou seja, os teus objetivos de sustentabilidade sejam refletidos nas suas operações diárias. Maureen, number 8, please. Após essa implementação em grande escala, não é? Você agora tem que passar a monitorar e tentar otimizar ao máximo que possível. A monitorização deve ser contínua. Você tem que estar sempre a registrar o que você vai fazendo, o que vai acontecendo, e vai fazer com que você possa ver onde melhorar. Você estabelece indicadores de progresso para que você possa olhar para trás e dizer sim, atingimos a meta ou não, o que é que falta. Por exemplo, no consumo de energia, na redução do lixo, em poupança, enfim, crie os seus indicadores e tente sempre otimizá-los, levá-los a que a tua operação, na verdade, também torne-se mais eficiente. Number 9, please. No número 9, nós falamos de busca de certificação. Ok, eu já venho a fazer a transformar o meu negócio num negócio verde, ou com um aspecto de sustentabilidade bastante grande. Agora, é preciso que eu use esse perfil para ganhar visibilidade para o meu negócio. Ou seja, vocês aqui devem buscar certificações, existem muitas a nível internacional, por exemplo, aqui fala de ISO 14001, que fala de gerenciamento ou gestão do ambiente. Vocês podem buscar outro tipo de certificação, mas assegura-se que a vossa empresa é certificada como uma verde, para que assim vocês possam também ser reconhecidos e eventualmente poder concorrer para certas oportunidades. Então, o mercado que busca credenciais verdes, você deve olhar para ele já com outra atividade, porque você é certificado verde. Portanto, tem que realmente fazer valer na sua marca. Next is Maureen. E no número 10 nós falamos de atualização, para você estar sempre informado, Quer dizer, você tem que buscar, participe em eventos, conferências, fóruns, enfim, coisas que têm a ver com a tua indústria e a sustentabilidade, com a inovação verde. Tenta te conectar a outros líderes do setor que também tenham esta visão. Tente estar sempre a par do que está a acontecer ao nível do mundo, para que você possa melhorar o que você faz. Busca oportunidades continuamente e tenta sempre melhorar o seu uso de tecnologia, adotando novas tecnologias, enfim, sempre demonstrando o teu impacto ao ambiente. Maureen, over to you.
All right. And then the last step is now you have implemented it internally. You have set your goals, you have tested, you are scaling. So now it is the opportunity for you to bring in the other people in your ecosystem and value chain. So work with your suppliers to adapt greener practices in your supply chain and also encourage them to go green. So that would be maybe reducing your waste, etc. So based on your industry, because chances are very high that you and your suppliers are within the same industry. So plant the seed of going green to your suppliers and now start telling them to align. Then now take back this information to community and government partnerships. So collaborate with local communities and governments and agencies on sustainability initiatives. So let people know what you're doing and let them be aware that you have opportunities to partner for us to collectively drive this goal of going green. Foko?
Coco, can you hear us?
I think I can go ahead and
Yes, Nadia.
Ok, thanks. Então, o passo 11, que aparentemente é o último, fala de colaboração com as partes interessadas. Então, portanto, você já passou da fase de piloto, você fez o pequenininho no seu escritório, depois você escalou, fez ao nível da tua empresa toda, você envolveu os teus colaboradores, portanto, você já é uma empresa verde. Agora, o que você deve fazer é envolver os outros que trabalham contigo, seja os teus fornecedores, seja os teus clientes, enfim, você deve encorajá-lo no uso de práticas sustentáveis, no uso de materiais sustentáveis, na redução do lixo, no uso eficiente de energia, enfim. Você deve procurar também engajar-se com o seu governo ou com a sua comunidade, seja o governo local, o governo regional, enfim, começar a cimentar as pequenas iniciativas que têm a ver com a sustentabilidade, porque a sustentabilidade não pode ser só a tarefa de uma pessoa e não pode ser só de uma pessoa. O planeta é de todos nós, então o engajamento deve ser global. Começamos local e vamos expandir. Portanto, este é o último passo, que é envolver basicamente aqueles com quem você colabora. Obrigada. Coco, over to you.
Donc, à l'étape 11, vous devez collaborer avec les parties prenantes. Ici, par exemple, il est question d'engager les fournisseurs. Donc, ça veut dire que la technologie que vous allez adopter et tout ce que vous avez apporté comme amélioration au sein de votre fonctionnement doit être lié à votre collaboration avec les différents fournisseurs. Ça peut être au niveau de la réduction des déchets, au niveau de la matière première, qui doit être une matière première durable. Ça peut être au niveau de la consommation énergétique. Vous devez revoir vos process et pour ça, bien évidemment, il faut impliquer les fournisseurs. Il y a aussi la communauté et le partenariat avec le gouvernement. Donc, dans un tel processus d'adoption du verre au sein de votre entreprise, vous devez collaborer avec le gouvernement local, avec les communautés, c'est-à-dire tout ce qui est environnement autour de vous, les populations locales, afin qu'eux soient totalement inclus dans les opérations que vous mettez en place pour respecter mieux l'environnement. Et le soutien de tous ces partenaires est important pour que votre projet soit vraiment un projet écologique. Over to you.
Great. So you have tested the idea of green. It is working within your organization, within your enterprise, and you've already looked in the stakeholders. So these are just some things of what to do and what to avoid. So the first thing is to avoid greenwashing. So greenwashing is where the company, you give out false information about the things that you're doing. Because of course, maybe you're doing this so that you can benefit from some of the things that have been set aside, incentives that have been set aside for organization to go green. So avoid greenwashing because definitely it can start damaging your reputation. And I don't know if you've seen online, some days people promote their products as X, but when you put a claim, but when consumers interact with your product, they actually find that the claim that you said about going green or using green solutions or using biosolutions are not true. So avoid that. And how do you avoid it? Just be transparent and honest with the initiatives. And if you just follow the step-by-step process and know that it is a journey that you're progressing with, then it becomes very, very practical for you. And I was giving the example of if, for example, you just want to celebrate the little win of saying, for the last 3 months, we have been implementing green. We've been going green as an organization, and we've been able to save this kind of waste in terms of tonnage. So some of the things you can do is just celebrate the small wins and share the small wins, and then everybody in the value chain knows that you are on a journey. And then, of course, ignoring the financial viability, and that is why we encourage you to start small, because sometimes you'll find enterprises, small and medium enterprises will decide we want to start going green because maybe there's a lot of grants in the industry on the ecosystem that are now supporting businesses who are integrating or going green. So then you completely ignore the cost implication, or you go to do this investment, this huge investment, with the hope that you're going to get an incentive. And then that doesn't work. So of course, what you're saying is implementing, you have to thoroughly evaluate. And that's why we are telling you, start from the first step, look at it, test it, understand what it will cost you, and then now you can scale. And how do you avoid? Always conduct a cost-benefit analysis. So pick one item, because like we said, we're small enterprises or medium-sized enterprises, and resources are very limited. So you can start with one micro thing and then grow it. Once it's successful, you can be able to align and scale it. And then, of course, overlooking employee engagement. So because if you're working with a team, it's also important for you to sell the vision, because at the end of the day, it is this team that will collectively deliver the goals that you have set. So ensure that you engage employees from the beginning by telling them or just letting them know that this is the direction we are going. And then after informing them, you educate them. You do tell them that this is what you are looking at and this is how we'll be implementing. So employee involvement and engagement and training, which may require upskilling, becomes a very critical thing that you need to do. And in some cases, you may also assign or appoint green ambassadors within the organization. And then, of course, neglecting customer education, assuming that customers will automatically understand the value of green and how it affects them directly. So then, like that's what we said, one of the things on how to avoid is to also educate your customers. And I've given them a very practical example. So the day you make the decision of saying we are going green, you can actually go on your social media pages and inform them and say, Company X, we've decided to take the green journey and transition, and welcome them to join, and then just break it down to them in the specific action that you're taking. And then, of course, like we said, you're going to be sharing these wins and the little wins with them. Coco?
OK, donc, maintenant, nous allons voir une partie qui nous dit exactement qu'est-ce qu'il ne faut pas faire. Première chose qu'il ne faut pas faire, c'est le blanchiment vert. Blanchiment vert ici, en fait, c'est d'éviter d'utiliser de donner des informations mensongères qui ne reflètent pas le comportement ou la position de votre entreprise en termes d'environnement. Alors, comment éviter cela? Tout simplement en étant transparent. Ne dites que ce que vous faites. Il ne faut pas aller exagérer dans vos communications, de dire que vous avez adopté une technologie verte alors que tel n'est pas le cas. Next, please. Deuxième chose à éviter, c'est d'ignorer la viabilité financière. Ça concerne en quoi? Ici, les questions, par exemple, de dire qu'avant de lancer un basculement vers une technologie verte, il faut évaluer ce que cela va vous coûter et analyser les implications. Alors, comment faire cela? Il est question de bien voir quels sont les bénéfices que ce changement vers une technologie verte ou des pratiques vertes va apporter au sein du fonctionnement de votre entreprise en termes de résultats financiers. Next, please. 3, c'est de négliger l'engagement des employés. Donc, ici, il est question de savoir que lorsqu'on adopte une technologie verte, les employés doivent être avertis et impliqués. Et surtout, savoir comment gérer leur résistance. Alors, comment faire pour l'éviter? Pour éviter que les employés ne se braquent, il faut tout simplement les éduquer. Il faut leur expliquer l'importance du passage d'une technologie ordinaire à une technologie plus safe pour l'environnement. Next, please. Donc, il y a aussi quelque chose à éviter, c'est de négliger l'éducation des clients. Donc, les clients sont une partie importante de votre écosystème et ils doivent comprendre quelles sont les valeurs ou les nouvelles valeurs que vous défendez en adoptant une telle technologie. Comment donc faire cela? Il faut tout simplement éduquer les clients sur votre initiative en termes de développement durable et leur expliquer quels sont les bénéfices que cela apporte. Next, please.
I think that's the last.
OK, over to you, Nadia.
Thanks, Foucault. Ok, então, agora que vocês já sabem como transformar-se numa indústria verde, numa empresa verde, o que é que vocês não devem fazer? Então, a dica de algumas coisas que não devem fazer. A primeira é a lavagem verde. Evitem a lavagem verde. O que é isso, lavagem verde? Lavagem verde é quando uma empresa quer vender a imagem de que ela é sustentável, de que ela é ecológica, ela se preocupa com o ambiente, mas que, na verdade, ela não é. Uma vez descoberto isso, o que é que acontece? Há um estrago que é causado à credibilidade da empresa, tanto para como o consumidor, como possíveis eventuais parceiros, que a empresa poderá nunca mais recuperar-se disso. Portanto, evitem essa lavagem verde, sendo transparentes e honestos com aquilo que vocês fazem. Se vocês fizerem alguma coisa, alguma das iniciativas, como foi aqui mencionado, por exemplo, a mudança, começar a adotar o uso do painel solar, a separação do lixo, enfim, essas pequenas iniciativas, se vocês adotarem na vossa empresa, o que vocês devem fazer é comunicá-la de forma como uma vitória, um passo para chegarem a ser uma indústria verde, mas de forma bem clara dizer que são pequenos passos que nós estamos a tomar para chegar ali. Dessa forma, os outros, eventualmente, que estão a ver, vão dizer, olha, essa empresa quer chegar ali e vai, eventualmente, encorajar-vos, mas nunca vai dizer que vocês estão a assumir-se como uma empresa verdadeiramente verde. Next morning. O segundo aqui que se fala é de ignorar a viabilidade financeira dessa passagem para um negócio verde ou implementar iniciativas verdes. Muitas das vezes, porque existem muitas por exemplo, subvenções e oportunidades aí pelo mundo no que se diz a empresas verdes, muita gente pensa que ou tornar-se verde, tornar-se numa empresa verde, vai ser fácil para ele conseguir capturar esses fundos, essas oportunidades. E então, não faz uma avaliação profunda, uma avaliação correta de quais são os riscos financeiros que ele deve assumir para fazer essa passagem e, eventualmente, chega quando ele, depois de fazer investimentos, a mudar a tecnologia que usa, a mudar sistemas que usa, ele se apercebe que gastou muito dinheiro, está endividado ou está sob pressão financeira e nem sequer, às vezes, consegue as tais subvenções ou as subvenções que consegue nem compensam. Então, não façam, não coloquem a carroça feita de boi, façam as nossas coisas, passinhos pequenos, mas com determinação, objetivos bem e metas bem estabelecidas. Next, please, Maureen. O próximo fala de vocês negligenciar ou que não devem fazer, nesse caso, né, negligenciar o envolvimento da vossa equipa, dos vossos funcionários, dos vossos colaboradores. Ok, para que uma empresa se torne verde, toda a equipa, toda a gente nela tem que se tornar também educada, tem que ser preparada para esse processo. Portanto, vocês devem evitar pensar que vocês vão chegar a ser uma indústria verde sem educar os vossos funcionários. Seja aquilo o que for necessário, seja o custo que seja necessário, seja o custo de tempo ou algum investimento, vocês têm que gastá-lo para garantir que os seus funcionários, os seus colaboradores entendam muito bem o que é o impacto que a empresa quer reduzir no ambiente ou como a empresa quer estabelecer por que a empresa está a criar essas iniciativas para mudar de comportamento. Portanto, a educação da vossa equipa é chave. Next, please. O próximo último passo fala de negligenciar também a educação dos clientes. Portanto, clientes são parceiros. Nossos clientes são parceiros, são nossos parceiros. Portanto, vocês não só têm o papel de educar a vossa equipa, mas também de educar os vossos clientes. Os clientes têm que entender que haverá mudanças na empresa e por que essas mudanças estão a acontecer. Okay? Portanto, tem que engajar os clientes ao longo do processo e educar o cliente para que ele se envolva e participe e até possa apoiar nessa iniciativa. Thank you, Maureen. Over to you.
You also, one of the things you also want to balance out is or avoid, and like you can see, it's always a balance. You're either tilting, but the whole idea is to always be in the middle. You know, focus. You want to avoid while cost cutting is an important aspect of going green, focusing solely on reducing costs can lead to compromising the quality of the products and services. So you need to balance out your cost cutting, maintaining or improving the quality of your offering to ensure that the green initiatives are ultimately adding value to yourself or to the organization or to the goal that you set. So again, it's a balance of how are you using resources and how you're balancing them out. So of course, do not ignore regulatory compliance. So it's very important for you to reach out to your local administration, your county governments, or your national governments within your countries to see how what are the regulations and what are the compliance things. And I think I gave an example of Kenya that we are currently implementing, green waste bags, and part of the compliance is we have regulations and standards around that. So if you're, for example, an enterprise is looking to go into that space, it would be good to go, for example, to the Kenya Bureau of Standards to check on the quality and the specification and the mark that the government has set. So don't miss out the compliance. So of course, for you to do that, you have to stay informed in what government with your government regulators. It is never a one size fits it all. Each business, each industry, each enterprise has a strategy. And this is the reason why we're encouraging you, as much as you want to go green, even as you're in this session, you want to take these learnings and take them back to your business and see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So you can't take the entire concept and just paint a brush. So for example, you can even be in the same exact industry, but my strategy as a business owner will be very different. So you'll find that maybe using the catering example, one caterer will decide to focus on managing waste. The other one will maybe focus on transitioning into energy saving equipment, to produce their food. So it's never a one size fits it all. And that's the reason why we are encouraging business owners and enterprise owners to see what works for them based on the available resources. And then you have to understand and underestimating the measurement. Implementing good practices and tracking them without tracking them can actually also be either very fatigue, or you can actually be spending a lot of money and you don't know. So what you need to do to avoid this is to just set basic KPIs. What are your key performing indicators? What goals have you set? And then how often are you reviewing them? Over to you, Foko.
OK. Le cinquième point sur ce qu'il ne faut pas faire, c'est, par exemple, se focaliser uniquement sur la réduction des coûts. Se focaliser uniquement sur la réduction des coûts est important, mais mais ça peut pousser à compromettre la qualité des produits et des services. Alors, comment éviter cette focalisation négative? C'est de bien analyser la différence entre les avantages et les inconvénients, de voir l'impact sur la maintenance et surtout de voir qu'est-ce que ça apporte comme modification sur votre offre, parce que l'initiative verte doit pouvoir plutôt vous apporter de la valeur ajoutée et non pouvoir détériorer votre expérience. Next, please. En sixième, next, please. Six. OK, thank you. Donc, vous devez aussi tenir compte, donc vous devez éviter d'ignorer les conformités avec la réglementation. Donc, comme quoi l'implémentation d'une initiative verte sans considérer les règles locales, que ce soit internationales, c'est pas bon. Alors, comment faire pour éviter d'ignorer la réglementation? Il faut bien évidemment être bien informé et surtout analyser la pertinence des mesures environnementales et écologiques que vous êtes en train de prendre. Next, please. Alors, ce qu'il faut aussi éviter, c'est de croire que les solutions sont passe-partout. Donc, ce qui fait que prendre la solution et l'adopter, quelle que soit l'activité, ça ne serait pas une bonne chose. Comment donc éviter que cela arrive? Il faut tout simplement adapter la solution verte ou l'initiative verte à chaque secteur ou à chaque besoin de façon circonstancielle et considérer les différents challenges et opportunités que votre activité a. Donc, ce n'est pas question de faire un copier-coller alors que ça ne correspond pas efficacement. Next, please. Donc, autre chose à éviter, c'est sous-estimer l'importance des indicateurs. Donc, lorsqu'on met en place des mesures vertes pour son entreprise, il faut toujours tenir compte qu'il y a des indicateurs clés qu'on doit regarder pour pouvoir savoir si l'effort qu'on fait permet de réussir ou pas. Alors, pour éviter de ne pas tenir en compte ces indicateurs, il faut bien évidemment mettre en place des indicateurs clés de performance liés à l'initiative verte. Ça permet donc que vous soyez toujours aligné sur l'atteinte des bénéfices liés à l'opération. Next, please.
I think that's all.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's all. Let me just take it back for Nadia.
Thank you. Ok. Então, o próximo, o que não deve fazer, fala em focar somente em cortar custos, ok? Cortar gastos, né? Muitas vezes, muito embora o aspecto, um dos aspectos de um negócio verde, fala-se para buscar-se o corte dos gastos, dos excessos, deve-se prestar atenção aqui que a ideia é buscar um balanço. Você não deve pensar em cortar os gastos a ponto de, eventualmente, prejudicar o seu negócio. Portanto, tem que buscar aí o balanço, a zona de conforto onde você pode operar. Next, please. O sexto ponto fala em não ignorar as regulamentações, ou seja, as leis. É muito importante você estar dentro do que é regulamentação, do que é as leis local, nacional e até internacional. Portanto, você tem que se educar, saber quais são as leis relativamente ao teu setor de atuação para você ser cumpridor. Você deve evitar sempre estar fora da lei, buscando sempre manter-se informado, procurar saber o que é que se passa no mundo, o que é que se passa no teu local, no teu país, e depois o que se passa no mundo, para que você saiba como você estar dentro da lei. Ok? Next, please. O sétimo, nós falamos dessa ideia de pensar que um tamanho serve a todos. Ok. É importante você perceber aqui que não é porque, assumindo que, olha, a minha empresa é do setor e a empresa do outro fulano que está no outro país ou no outro local é do mesmo setor, então as medidas todas que ele aplica ali vão funcionar para o meu negócio. Totalmente errado. Você tem que acessar o seu próprio negócio, sua realidade, enfim, porque, para além da indústria, que pode ser diferente, há também outros aspectos que podem ou não funcionar para você. Há aspectos que dependem do próprio dono da empresa, depende da região em que você está, depende das regulamentações locais. Portanto, você deve sempre desenhar medidas que funcionem para si, olhar, fazer avaliação, como nós dissemos. Se você faz o seu piloto, então, você tem dados suficientes para tomar decisões informativas, decisões informadas, baseadas na tua própria experiência. Portanto, não funciona essa de um tamanho para todos. Next, please. Aqui o oitavo ponto fala de subestimar a importância de medidas. Não pense que é irrelevante ou manter registro do que é o seu impacto. Não. Nem pense que é muito difícil. Pode até ser difícil, mas é necessário. Você tem que colocar esforços para que você tenha registrado as mudanças, ou seja, os indicadores que você estabeleça para o seu negócio. Porque é dessa forma que você pode demonstrar, olha, nós saímos daqui para aqui. Você pode demonstrar aos seus eventuais parceiros, possíveis investidores até, que há melhorias ou que há regulamentações que você está a cumprir. Portanto, registros são importantes. Tomem sempre nota, registrem sempre as pequenas mudanças, as pequenas coisas que vocês vão fazendo nos vossos negócios. Obrigado. Maureen, over to you.
Awesome. Okay. Then the next thing is what do you avoid again? Trying to implement too many green initiatives at the same time. And we gave an example and we said you can start with one goal. And then now once you get the learnings, you scale. Implementing too many initiatives at once can actually overwhelm you and stretch the business resources. So of course, always prioritize based on your industry specifics and your business capacity and resources. Neglecting long-term planning. So of course, what we've said is since now you've started integrating this, always now include this in your long-term planning, of course, both in terms of resourcing, in terms of strategy, in terms of everything that you plan. So you plan this initiative as part of the things and part of your business goals and objectives. Then once you do that, then this becomes something that you integrate in your strategy. And then, of course, what you're saying is develop a long-term strategy and then, of course, integrate it. And this will help you just to avoid planning will always help you mobilize resources effectively. And then avoid implementing green practices within your business while ignoring the environmental impact of the suppliers. And that is why we said you may be doing all these things, but then the people in your value chain are not complying. So that's the reason you become an ambassador of green, and you now start looping in your suppliers and the people and the collaborations you have. And this can actually just be you suggesting to them some of the things that you're doing, and now start looping them in as part of teaching them, and of course you becoming an ambassador and also encouraging them to start going green as well. And then, of course, overcomplicating the process. What we said is, as enterprises, you know, one of the things we are saying is you're testing these initiatives or these suggestions within your business. So you want to have very simple processes that your team can adapt, you can adapt, and you can implement as you go. So of course, keep it green, keep it simple, keep it practical, and then start integrating. And we said, start small and then grow. Think small, but then, think big, but now you can start with the small initiatives. Over to you, Foko.
Donc, la prochaine chose à ne pas faire, c'est de surestimer les ressources ou bien de trop y mettre les ressources. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut donc éviter exactement? C'est d'essayer d'implémenter, de trop implémenter l'initiative dans votre affaire au point de diminuer, comment dire, au point d'absorber ce qui existait avant et tendre même vers un clash. Donc, on va dire ça comme ça là. Alors, comment éviter ça? Il est question de prioriser ce qui est faisable au sein de l'initiative, de bien analyser l'impact et surtout de commencer très petit et de manager progressivement de façon graduelle pour que les ressources s'adaptent mieux à l'expérience de croissance. Next, please. OK. On doit aussi éviter de négliger l'impact de la planification sur le long terme. C'est-à-dire quoi? C'est-à-dire que ne faut pas toujours avoir le nez sur le court terme au point où les implications sur le long terme soient finalement pas du durable. Alors, comment faire pour éviter cela? Il est question ici de développer effectivement une stratégie sur le long terme qui s'aligne sur les objectifs de l'entreprise et ainsi planifier la croissance, la stabilité et l'amélioration des efforts pour l'environnement vert. Next, please. 11e chose à ne pas faire, c'est d'ignorer toute la chaîne de valeur. Et la chaîne de valeur, toute la chaîne d'approvisionnement. Et cette chaîne d'approvisionnement doit être durable. Donc, il est question ici, par exemple, de tenir compte des pratiques qui mettent en œuvre la gestion des fournisseurs afin de pouvoir rester efficace dans son opération, dans son opérationnalité. Alors, comment faire pour éviter d'ignorer cette chaîne d'approvisionnement? Il est question ici de tenir compte, de partager avec les fournisseurs votre engagement pour le développement durable et de s'assurer que eux, à leur niveau, ils s'alignent sur vos objectifs verts et qui seront pour vous de bons fournisseurs de matériaux ou de matières premières qui correspondent à vos objectifs en termes de lutte contre la destruction de l'environnement. Next, please. Donc, il faut aussi éviter de trop compliquer les process. Parce qu'une nouvelle initiative, si elle est complexe, ça va décourager. Comment éviter donc de trop compliquer votre process? C'est tout simplement de garder des pratiques simples, efficaces, légères, qui permettent l'amélioration de la gestion quotidienne de votre entreprise. Et cela doit se faire, bien évidemment, étape par étape. Next, please.
Hand it to Nadia. Nadia, go ahead.
Yes, please. Okay, I think it's one more. It's number 9. Yes, thank you. Ok, então, próximo, o que não fazer, fala de que você deve tentar implementar, deve evitar tentar implementar muitas iniciativas ao mesmo tempo, ok? Quando você tenta fazer muitas coisas ao mesmo tempo, você coloca muita pressão em si próprio e coloca muita pressão na empresa e você depois acaba por ver que as coisas estão muito complicadas e é capaz de desistir. Portanto, como já foi recomendado, faça pequenas iniciativas, passo a passo, um pilotozinho aqui, outro pilotozinho ali, e assim poderá avançar. Evita pôr pressão no negócio, pressão em si próprio, porque você quer esticar demais para além dos recursos que você pode. Next, please. O 10º fala de que você nunca deve esquecer-se de planear para longo tempo. Nunca deve esquecer. Crie estratégias ou estabeleça estratégias para longo plano, para longo termo. Por quê? Porque assim você fica, se você ficar focado aqui nos ganhos imediatos, as suas iniciativas a longo ou termo, eventualmente, poderão vir a ser não tão sustentáveis. Porque você pode acabar por perder aspectos que hoje, aspectos que eventualmente impactarão positivamente a sua empresa há muitos anos ou há um tempo que aí vem. Portanto, tente sempre fazer um planeamento para longo termo. Crie estratégia para agora imediato e estratégia também para um futuro mais longo. Next, please. O 11º passo de o que não deve fazer fala de que você nunca deve ignorar os teus fornecedores. Nós já falamos aqui sobre isso, que quando após você passar pela fase, toda a fase de implementar o processo de se tornar verde, você deve engajar aqueles que são parceiros, aqueles que eventualmente estão ligados a ti, as partes interessadas. E uma delas, falamos de fornecedores. Porque se você é uma empresa verde e os teus fornecedores não têm qualquer noção do que é verde, isso pode eventualmente invalidar todo o teu esforço de sustentabilidade. Portanto, você deve fazer esse trabalho de educar e engajar os teus fornecedores nessa luta verde. Next, please. O 12º passo aqui abordado fala de não complicar os processos. Não complica demasiado o processo. Faça processos simples, como nós dissemos, já falamos várias vezes. Começa com coisas pequenas, medidas práticas que você sabe que você e a tua equipa podem facilmente aderir e, eventualmente, à medida que criarem esse traquejo, poderão adicionar coisas mais complexas. Porque coisas complicadas desencorajam. Quando você criar um processo muito complicado, vai desencorajar a ti, vai desencorajar os teus colaboradores e vai ser difícil realmente atingir as tuas metas, ok? Então, tenham foco claro, faça coisas simples, práticas e fáceis de se integrar nas vossas operações diárias. Tá, obrigada. Over to you, Madam Mori.
Right. So what we are saying is, and we're now starting to wind up, so prepare your questions. So we are saying going green is doable for your enterprise. It is very practical, and I think it is the role of small and medium-sized enterprises to implement this so that you can contribute to this global agenda. Because we do know in the African context, small businesses contribute a lot to many things economically. So this is one of the agendas that we also have to align to so that we can overally and collectively put a little efforts and then they'll become macro efforts. So that's the reason we are saying you can start small and think big. Implementing green initiative doesn't have to be overwhelming. Begin with what aligns with your business and then set businesses to your goals. And then look at the long-term benefits of going green. They can reduce your cost, efficiencies, open you to new markets and opportunities, and it's an investment in your business and also in the continent. Look at the positive impacts. Your efforts will definitely contribute to a healthier environment, that I can guarantee you, and sustainable community. Support is available. You don't have to do it alone. Leverage on available resources, for example, calls like this, networks and financing options to support your green business. And I hope everybody on this call has already followed the Tony Limoli Foundation and the work that they do, and also the partners that are supporting this initiative. Also, leverage on peer-to-peer. Speak to your peers. What are they doing? How are they doing it? And then positive, your efforts will contribute to a healthier environment. And then it looks like a very hard task, but it is very doable. And I'll shortly share how, for example, us as a business, we've integrated it. It makes sense when you align with green initiative as a company, and then develop a green business model. And I do know some women on this call have been part of the V4A program, like I was part of the V4A program. And if you're not sure, plug into communities like the Tenulimelu Network, the V4A program, our community, and they can guide you on the next steps on how to engage. So there's a lot of resources and communities out there who are implementing green. And then set measurable KPIs, evaluate the process, be patient and consistent, and constantly evaluate your results. So let me go back there. Foko, over to you.
OK, thank you. Donc, comment rendre faisable le fait qu'on veut convertir notre entreprise au vert? Le secret est simple, c'est de commencer petit, mais au préalable, il faut penser grand. Ainsi, cette initiative va s'implémenter et s'adapter au management afin que les changements s'alignent sur les objectifs de l'entreprise. Donc, le bénéfice sur le long terme, ici, il est question de montrer que ça va réduire les coûts, ça va améliorer l'efficacité et ça va ouvrir les opportunités de marché. Et pour cela, et surtout, l'investissement dans le futur sera aussi valorisé. Next, please. Next. Donc, toujours comment rendre ça faisable? On a les impacts positifs. L'effort ici permet de contribuer à la bonne santé environnementale de toute la communauté. Donc, on améliore le développement durable au sein de la communauté. Il faut aussi avoir les supports qui sont disponibles. Et pour cela, pouvoir tirer parti des ressources actuelles de ces réseaux, des options de financement, bref, tout ce qu'on vous a expliqué pour pouvoir soutenir cette aventure dans une entreprise verte. Next. Next. Donc, les prochaines étapes, vous allez vous rendre compte que passer au vert peut être comme douteux, mais c'est une tâche qui est faisable. C'est une tâche faisable. Et c'est quelque chose qui doit avoir du sens. Si on aligne l'initiative du vert sur les missions de l'entreprise. Donc, vous devez revoir les missions pour l'aligner sur du vert, sur le développement durable et adapter les process et toute l'initiative. Donc, il faut par contre développer un modèle économique vert et pour cela, vous devez pouvoir tenir compte de toute votre communauté, votre réseau. Donc, ça peut être le ce programme des femmes, ça peut être pour le Yayo Mons. Bref, vous devez tenir compte de tout votre environnement. Les différents réseaux doivent être impliqués afin qu'autour de vous, les gens sachent que vous travaillez véritablement pour le développement durable. Ça doit être connu. Next, please. Donc, comme autre prochaine étape, vous devez mettre des indicateurs objectifs et mesurables. vous devez évaluer la progression et surtout être très patient et toujours être tenir compte de la consistance de vos accomplissements afin d'avoir des résultats que vous désirez. Next. Thank you.
Nadia?
Thank you. Então, tornar-se verde pode parecer complicado, mas é possível, ok? É bom para a tua empresa. Você começa pequeno, mas pense grande. Implementa iniciativas pequenas, não tente fazer algo grande, porque você vai ficar superlotado e vai querer desistir. No início, é mais fácil buscar coisas pequenininhas, objetivos pequenos. E depois pense sempre nos objetivos a longo termo, ok? Porque tornar-se numa empresa verde reduz custo. Certamente que os gastos na empresa vai reduzir, a empresa vai se tornar mais eficiente e, obviamente, que vai abrir a tua empresa para novas oportunidades de negócio. Ok? É como se fosse um investimento agora para o futuro. Next, please. Portanto, há os impactos, bastante impactos positivos, que você vai estar a contribuir para o ambiente, você estará a contribuir para a sustentabilidade, você estará a contribuir para o futuro, seja da sua comunidade, do seu país e do planeta, obviamente. Ok? E existe suporte. Aqui há pessoas disponíveis a ajudar. Você não está sozinho nisso. Você tem que buscar redes, grupos, comunidades que estão na mesma jornada green. Next, please, Maureen. Então, quais são os próximos passos? Bem, como já disse, parece difícil, parece uma tarefa muito difícil, mas não é. É possível de alcançar. Você deve alinhar as iniciativas da sua empresa para ser de acordo com a missão que a empresa tem. Você deve buscar suporte em comunidades como a TEF, a própria comunidade, este grupo que vocês estão aqui desse projeto e muitos outros que existem por aí. Portanto, hoje em dia, esse é o tópico da atualidade. Então, há muitos grupos, há muitas comunidades que debruçam sobre esse aspecto. Next, please. E, obviamente, que vocês, quando fizerem nesse processo, vocês têm que estabelecer vossos objetivos, estabelecer as vossas metas, estabelecer os vossos indicadores. Nós já falamos muito aqui sobre os indicadores, porque esses indicadores vão permitir que vocês façam uma avaliação do progresso, que vocês possam ver de onde saíram até onde chegaram. Sejam pacientes, não ponham muita pressão em vocês mesmas, que vocês conseguirão. Apenas sejam consistentes naquilo que querem alcançar, nos objetivos que têm e boa sorte. Maureen, over to you.
All right. So in conclusion, what we are saying is green transformation for micro and small enterprises in Africa will have an incredible impact on climate change. So this is your clarion call as a business owner, as an enterprise owner in the continent, to start the journey and measure your outcome, and then, of course, contribute to this global agenda.
Donc, pour conclure, la transformation à l'écologie des petites et moyennes entreprises en Afrique apportera un grand impact dans le changement climatique. Over to you, Nadia.
Thanks, Foucault. Bem, em conclusão, a transformação das pequenas pequenas e médias empresas em África para o verde vão trazer um impacto enorme para a mudança climática. Então, comecem e força. Maureen, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I think I will check if we have any questions. Do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you so much, Foucault and Nadia. So yes, we have a few questions. I've dropped one in the chat box. It's from Evelyn. Her question is, would it make sense to have green practices as a criteria when identifying suppliers and partners? So I'll be dropping the other questions, but you can think.
Great. So Evelyn, to your question, would it make sense to have green practices as a criteria when identifying suppliers and partners? Yes, that makes absolute sense. But remember to take the pragmatic and step-by-step process. So do not ambush your suppliers, do not ambush your partners. So for example, and I'll give you the context of Kenya, I was giving the example of how now there's an expectation of us in the residential areas, actually everywhere, not only residential areas, to use eco-friendly garbage bags. So we feel like as a user, as a residential user of these garbage bags, our supplier has been having challenges in delivering for us the eco-friendly garbage bags. So we kind of feel this was ambushed. So that's a situation where the policy was enforced, and the people, the supplier in this case potentially had not aligned, but then the expectation of the person whom I pay service charge to has already given these instructions. So there's already a gap, and I'm feeling very inconvenienced as a consumer. So that's an example of how things can go south. So for example, for the last 2 months, I've been struggling in getting garbage bags to dispose my waste. And you remember we talked about if you don't plan for it efficiently, it can end up being counterproductive. So you can imagine a household that was already managing waste through these garbage bags. This thing was put in place, but now I have a bigger problem of where do I take this waste? So it is good for you to loop in your suppliers and partners, but let it be a step-by-step approach. So don't just wake up one morning and ambush them. Over to you, Foko.
Ok, donc la question qui a été posée, c'est celle de savoir si c'est nécessaire de tenir compte de cette pratique verte lorsqu'on recrute ses partenaires et ses fournisseurs. Donc la réponse qu'on va simplement vous dire, c'est oui. Parce que si vous avez des fournisseurs qui ne respectent pas l'environnement, vous aurez de la peine, par exemple, à avoir certaines certifications. Donc, parce qu'effectivement, pour avoir ces certifications-là, il y a une évaluation de toute votre chaîne d'approvisionnement et même votre chaîne de collaboration avec les autres parties prenantes. Donc, elle a pris quelques exemples au Kenya pour pouvoir expliquer qu'effectivement, c'est important d'avoir comme critère pour recruter ou identifier des partenaires ou des fournisseurs les aspects liés à l'environnement. What you wanna dire?
Thanks, Foko. Então, a senhora Maureen estava a responder a uma questão aqui que foi colocada pela Evelyn. Ela pergunta se faz sentido colocar critérios de práticas verdes quando se estiver a identificar parceiros e fornecedores. A resposta da senhora é que sim, mas é bom colocar esses critérios. No entanto, muito cuidado em tomar medidas drásticas. Vocês devem saber como colocar isso, mas não pode ser muito estritos, porque podem queimar-se a vocês mesmos. Ela deu o exemplo dela própria, diz que no seu país, no Quênia, por região onde ela opera, há uma regulamentação que surgiu de aspecto de os sacos de lixos biodegradáveis. E então, ela, nos seus fornecedores, não conseguem fornecer esse tipo de embalagens para ela, e então ela, obviamente, que está há semanas com dificuldade de conseguir essas embalagens para poder fazer o seu trabalho. Portanto, o trabalho dela fica comprometido e, obviamente, que afeta os clientes e poderá, obviamente, afetar o seu negócio. Portanto, podem colocar essas regras no OK, mas é preciso terem cuidado de como, até que ponto vocês criam abertura para os vossos fornecedores para não queimarem-se a si mesmo. Maureen, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is from Ida. What percentage of the overall budget would you advise to set aside for adapting green practices? I think this one we said you are the captain of your ship, which means you're the captain of your organization. So what we've done today is taken you through a step-by-step process. So the budget will be informed by the that is the reason we are telling you step 1 is for you to test. What is it that you identify the thing, test it, put it to practice, allocate the resources. So the budget will be driven by the practices that you implement in the step-by-step little processes that you do. So it's not a one-size-fits-it-all. Foko, over to you.
Okay, can you move on, please? I am not listening to the answer.
Sorry?
Nadia?
You didn't
Should
get
I
the
go
answer?
ahead?
Yes, Nadia.
Ok, thanks. Então, a próxima questão aqui colocada pela Aida é qual é a percentagem do seu orçamento deve ser alocado para práticas verdes. Aqui a senhora Maureen diz que, aqui, e mais uma vez, isso não funciona, não é um tamanho serve todos. Cada unidade, cada empresa tem que ser a sua própria medida. Portanto, você é o capitão do seu próprio navio. Você, por isso se começa com piloto, com pequenas práticas. Você vai fazendo o teste e ajusta. E baseado no seu teste, nos registros que você faz, esse monitorar e avaliar vai te permitir definir quanto do teu orçamento você quer alocar para isso. Portanto, não há nenhuma regra que diz X%. Over to you, Maureen.
Foko, would you like me to repeat the answer?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I was saying that to Ida's question, what is the overall budget that you'd advise to set aside for adapting BIM practice? And my response to that, it is not a one-size-fits-it-all. It is the reason why we are encouraging every business owner or enterprise owner here is the captain of their ship. So today what we've done is we've given you the step-by-step process. So if you follow the steps, and one of the steps is for you to start small, then at that level, you'll be able to know how much it costs you, then you can allocate a budget. So it is not a one-size-fits-it-all. So that budget will be driven by the experiments or the pilots you'll be doing within your business.
Ok, thank you. Donc, il y a Aïda Abolo qui pose la question de savoir quel est globalement le budget qu'on peut allouer à une telle opération d'adaptation des pratiques à l'environnement. Donc, la réponse qu'on apporte, c'est que si on vous a donné tous ces détails, c'est pour que chacune de vous puisse adapter son entreprise ou bien puisse adapter cette démarche à son entreprise, à son secteur d'activité. C'est vous les capitaines de votre entreprise. On vous a par exemple conseillé de commencer par une phase pilote. Et cette phase pilote va vous permettre justement d'analyser les comportements, de voir les coûts. Et quand la phase pilote réussit, c'est là où vous globalisez maintenant la solution technologique verte au sein de votre entreprise. Donc, il revient à chacune de vous de bien maîtriser son environnement, de bien maîtriser le fonctionnement de son entreprise. Thank you very much.
All right. The next question is from Beverly. Is it okay to start regularly while projecting to go green in future due to financial constraints? By regularly, I mean operating like general market operates. Yes, Beverly, that is totally fine. But because now you do know that sometimes some of these practices are not very complex, it is important for you to look at your business and where you can start. So it's okay for you to start doing your business, but just be conscious. It can even be as simple as you choosing to, within your business premises, choosing to separate your waste. This is my plastic waste, this is my paper waste, and this is my organic waste. The organic waste can be upcycled, the paper waste can be recycled, and the plastic waste can have value addition. So it's basic, simple things like that that you can implement in your business as you start. Or for example, saying, as a business policy where I'm starting, I will minimize printing of papers. I'm going to, as opposed to me printing flyers, hard copy flyers, I will do digital campaign materials or digital flyers or e-flyers. So those are little things that you can start implementing immediately as your business is in the formative stages.
OK. La question est de Beverly Aza qui dit, est-ce qu'il faut, dès le début, régulièrement adapter un comportement vert au regard des contraintes financières? Et elle l'explique en disant que elle parle des opérations. Est-ce que il faut directement, en partant sur le marché, adopter un comportement vert? Donc, on répète en disant que ça va dépendre de chaque secteur. Ce qu'on vous recommande, c'est d'y aller doucement. Elle a pris un exemple. Puisque vous êtes conscient que vous devez protéger l'environnement, vous pouvez directement adopter des attitudes de flyers. Les flyers, ça veut dire que vous faites, au lieu de faire, pardon, des flyers virtuels. C'est-à-dire, vous allez mettre dans votre argumentation commerciale que vous allez faire la publicité sur les réseaux sociaux au lieu d'utiliser du carton, des feuilles de papier et tout ça. Donc, voilà un certain nombre de comportements que vous pouvez adopter très tôt et progressivement agrandir pour que sur le plan financier, ça ne vous apporte pas de grosses contraintes. Où vas-tu, Nadia?
Thanks, Foucault. Ok. Aqui uma questão da Beverly, que ela pergunta se é possível se começar normalmente e depois, eventualmente, se tornar num negócio verde. Isso devido a questões financeiras. E assim, a resposta da senhora Maurinha é que sim, obviamente que pode. E a ideia é mesmo que se torne paulatinamente, a transformação aconteça paulatinamente. E há coisas, pequenas iniciativas que não custam dinheiro. Por exemplo, a separação do lixo dentro da sua unidade. Separar lixo, papel, plástico, orgânico, enfim, pode não te custar nada. Evitar imprimir, decidir que eu não vou fazer impressões de flyers, não vou fazer impressões de publicidade escolar na parede, vou usar simplesmente o digital. É uma forma que também pode até poupar dinheiro e mostrar prática verde. Portanto, é possível, sim, começar pequeno e depois, eventualmente, transformar-se quando tiver mais dinheiro. Maureen, over to you. Thank you.
Awesome. There's another question from Asa, Claudine. Thank you. She says, thank you for this informative session. Please, how can we measure tangible results of green practices in our businesses? Again, Claudine, this is a not one size fits it all. So it will all depend. So I'll give you an example. I run 2 enterprises. One is in sanitation, the other one is in training. So Nyayo Moms, for example, in part of our goals that we've set as a business that is an entrepreneur support organization for women, is within our training curriculum, we've integrated a Going Green module of learning. So our goal as a business, as an example, is to ensure that we've set a goal. Every quarter, we train X number of women in supporting them in integrating green technologies. So that's the goal we have set. That is our contribution to the agenda. So for the toilet business, which is the sanitation business, we purely promote green toilets and interventions. So what is the goal there? The goal for us that we've set is to ensure that we reach X number of schools with this kind of sanitation with this period of time. So again, what you are saying, it is case by case. It is you as a business owner or the captain of the ship, which is your business. You'll sit down, you will now start going step by step. And then if you follow these steps, at some point, you'll see where we talked about setting the goals. That is where you'll start from.
Donc, nous avons une dernière question de Asa Claudine qui dit déjà qu'elle est impressionnée par cette session éducative et elle aimerait savoir comment mettre en place des indicateurs tangibles de résultats lorsqu'on met en place des pratiques vertes au sein de son entreprise. Donc, ce qu'on a dit, c'est que effectivement, à travers 2 exemples, la Maureen fait ressortir le fait que à chaque fois, pour les 2 activités qu'elle a expliquées, dans les toilettes et l'éducation, elle s'est dit, nous devons chaque trimestre atteindre tel nombre de femmes qu'on a éduquées ou bien qu'on a formées. Voilà un indicateur simple. Et au fil donc de l'implémentation de votre projet, vous vérifiez effectivement que cet engagement que vous avez pris, à titre d'exemple, soit respecté. Voilà comment un indicateur peut être tangible pour le résultat. Où vas-tu, Nadia?
Thanks, Foucault. A última questão vem de Assa Claudine. Ela começa por agradecer pela sessão e depois pergunta como medir resultados tangíveis na sua empresa. Então, a senhora Maureen diz que, mais uma vez, isso aqui é onde se vê que não é uma questão de um tamanho ser de todos. cada empresa tem a sua forma de medir. Também depende das metas, obviamente, que você estabeleceu. A senhora própria dá o exemplo, o seu, ela tem duas empresas, uma empresa é de limpeza e outra empresa de formações, e ela não pode medir da mesma forma nas duas empresas. Portanto, depende das metas que você estabeleceu na sua empresa, depende do setor, depende de N fatores. Você deve estabelecer as suas metas e medir dessa forma. Não há regra geral que sirva para todos. Ok? Obrigado. Thank you. Over to you, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you. Because of our time, we are unable to take more questions. Well, I'm sure the questions and the answers Maureen has provided has been really helpful to the people asking the questions and to everybody in general. Maureen, do you have any last words for us before we end the session? Thank you.
So I think what I'll also do at personal level, I'm going to browse through are the questions on the YouTube link. So maybe I can also just go through the YouTube and I'll also respond to them there. But I think for me, the final comments and remarks is to every entrepreneur as the captain of your business and enterprise, and as the captain of being the change makers in Africa. Like we've said, follow the steps by step. And then each business has the opportunity to go green. It is doable, it is possible. Start today.
Donc, ce qu'on peut retenir globalement, Maureen prend l'engagement de continuer à répondre aux questions sur le chat box et a dit qu'il est important qu'en tant qu'entrepreneur, que vous soyez le capitaine de votre entreprise. Et l'engagement que vous prenez pour le développement durable doit être quelque chose que vous contrôlez totalement et que vous adaptez surtout à votre budget et aux objectifs de votre entreprise. Thank you. Nadia.
Thanks, Soko. Últimas palavras da senhora Maureen. Ela diz que ela vai fazer vai olhar para o chat no YouTube, os comentários, e ver se há mais questões e eventualmente respondê-las. O que ela diz, a última palavra é basicamente que é possível, comecem hoje, não tenham medo, não tenham pressa. Boa sorte a todos. Adaura, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Foko, for the inclusivity. And thank you once again, Maureen, for breaking it down and simplifying green businesses, adopting green businesses to our enterprise for us. And to everyone, thank you for staying through to the end of the session. We hope you've taken lessons and feedback as to how to adopt green to your business. And we hope to see you at the next session. Thank you once again, and bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you.